Hi, my name is Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And as some of you know, I filed a complaint against Injustice of the Peace, Jack James. Injustice of the Peace, Jack James. Precinct One, Rockwall, Texas. And I did that back, I believe it was in July or August of last year. I got the letter today. I'm opening it up right now. I have not yet read it, though I do know the decision already. I'm going to read this and respond to it. State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Regarding, and the case number is 17-1308-JP. The letter is marked confidential. However, I was told on the phone that confidential means that the government agency must protect me. I do not have to be confidential in what I'm saying. So I'm going to be speaking this whole thing out loud and publicly. Dear Mr. Morgan, we appreciate the concerns raised in your complaint. However, after conducting a thorough investigation, into the allegation that the judge failed to review your documents and failed to provide you with a hearing to determine if the opposing party had committed perjury, something which Injustice of the Peace Jack James actually knew. He was the one who kept telling me, it's not perjury, it's alleged perjury, but he refused to review the documents. The commission determined in its discretion, and by the way, all of these things are secret. We don't get to see how they came up with their discretion to make this decision. We have determined, the commission in its discretion, that there was insufficient evidence to support a finding of judicial misconduct. Bull. Now, what I was told when I talked with the person on the phone the other day, actually it's going to say that there was insufficient evidence, but the reality was they had no subject matter jurisdiction over the issue. That actually I had to appeal it to a different court, and I had to do that within 5 to 7 days. Now, I had received a notice that it was dismissed with prejudice after Injustice of the Peace Jack James chose to suppress evidence, chose to attack me, chose to bully me, said to me, I've beaten you up enough. This is the type of judge that we have in Rockwall, Texas, Precinct One, Injustice of the Peace, Jack James. Although we are prohibited by law from disclosing the specifics of our investigations, and I wonder why that may be. Please be aware that our investigation included, but was not limited to, reviewing court records and pleadings. There were no pleadings. All I did was take my ex-wife to a small claims court in Rockwall, Texas, to have her pay for the additional money she cost me because of her perjury. In fact, it was Injustice of the Peace's Jack James clerk who told me I should do this. So I listened to her advice, and I paid my $131 or $136, whatever it was. Our investigation included, but was not limited to, reviewing court records and pleadings. And by the way, I also the man who was in charge of this, his name is Victor Hidalgo. I've called him on probably at least half a dozen occasions. I went down to the office in person to speak with him, asked him if he needed anything else. If we need something else, we'll get back in touch with you, I was told. Please be aware that our investigation included, but was not limited to, reviewing court records and pleadings. In conformance with the specific judicial provisions, statutes, and canons which limit the actions that may be considered judicial misconduct, the commission voted to dismiss your complaint. You know, so here is a judge who bullies me, who tells me that I am not filing against my wife for perjury, but alleged perjury. He knew alleged perjury was at stake. I told him I had the transcripts. He tried to say, well, we can't determine whether it's perjury or not. It's your word against her word. No, Your Honor, I have the court-certified transcripts by a certified court transcriber. It's her word against her word. She's caught lying. The judge at the time knew she was lying. But somehow, Injustice of the Peace Jack James chose to suppress that evidence, and he came to his decision after suppressing the evidence and then saying he had reviewed the evidence. He lied specifically. In fact, he also lied because he was going to research the claim over the weekend. Well, when I got his dismissal letter, I noticed the date, and it was the same day. He did not even do what he told me in court. Injustice of the Peace, the lying Jack James. However, if you have additional evidence, that is witness statements, affidavits, hearing transcripts. It's a small claims court, for crying out loud. I went there so that it would not cost either one of us that much money. Really what I wanted to do was to have the judge hear the evidence, which would have clearly have indicated that my ex-wife was guilty of perjury. It would have been clear, crystal clear. In fact, it's going to be so clear that I am going to read the transcripts in some upcoming videos so that the public can come to the conclusion whether in Justice of the Peace Jack James, after having thoroughly considered the evidence which he suppressed, came to the right decision. In Justice of the Peace Jack James, Precinct One, Rockwall, Texas. By the way, he's up for re-election this year. He's a Republican as well. I met him at a GOP breakfast shortly thereafter, and he's talking about, oh, my name is Judge Jack James. After he realized who I was, he turned red, and then he slunk out of the meeting after I asked my question. He just left. He booked. He knows what the problem is. However, if you have additional evidence, that is witness statements, who am I going to get? My ex-wife and her husband to come in and to verify what I've said? There was the constable or the bailiff who was there that you believe may not have been reviewed or considered by the commission. How should I know one way or another? Because everything is secretive. They've hidden it in their black box, and it says, do not open, do not unseal these records. You may request one time only, a reconsideration by the commission. Please provide your written request for reconsideration along with photocopies of any documents you wish the commission to review no later than 30 days from the date of this letter. Be sure to reference the above listed file numbers in your request. While not all complaints result in a finding of misconduct, this is what the whole thing is about. It's judicial misconduct, judicial bullying. A judge who said at the beginning of the hearing that he was strongly against perjury and yet didn't even ask my ex-wife if she had committed perjury after my ex-wife said, well, Your Honor, even if I did commit perjury, it's irrelevant because I was not a party to the case. What she was saying is that because I'm not filing the case, I'm allowed to commit perjury. I'm just a witness. I may be a lying witness, but if I commit perjury, it's irrelevant. And the judge, in Justice of the Peace, Jack James, Precinct 1, Rockwall, evidently bought off on that argument. While not all complaints result in a finding of misconduct, we appreciate your concerns and your interest in assisting us in maintaining the high ethical standards of the Texas Judiciary. The high ethical standards of the Texas Judiciary appear to not even reach the bottom of the belly of a snake. I'm sorry, but that is the reality of it. There is no ethical guidelines by which these judges appear to be subject to reprimand. And if they are, they must stoop really, really low, because if you have a judge knowing that the accusation was alleged perjury, as he told me, alleged perjury, and yet he refused to look at the evidence because he did not want to spend his weekend reviewing the transcripts. Even though I provided him with 18 pages, he was not going to spend his time. He suppressed the evidence because he did not want to deal with it. In Justice of the Peace, Jack James, holding to a high ethical standard, and the State Commission of Judicial Conduct, this is a joke. Thank you for bringing these issues to our attention. So, I am going to request a reconsideration. I will give the new evidence. I am also going to go to the FBI and Department of Justice. They actually have jurisdiction in this matter. You talk about deprivation of due process under the color of law. This is an issue that they investigate. So in Justice of the Peace, Jack James, be prepared. I am going to be filing against you. And as far as this sham review from the State Commission of Judicial Conduct, which said we determined basically, and this is what he was told me over the phone, we had no jurisdiction in the issue. Why did it take you 9 months? Almost 9 months to come to this decision. Was it really that difficult that you could not have made the decision within 2 weeks? Why 9 months? This whole thing is a sham. The judiciary in the state of Texas does not have high ethical conducts at all that it needs to maintain. All it needs to do is whatever it wants to do. It is a lawless court in many instances. And for anybody who thinks that this is high judicial conduct, high ethics of the judiciary, you're badly mistaken. Period. Thank you.